California.
First, let me say that no contradiction among those of us who believe in maximum sanctions and continued negotiations. In 1918, we negotiated with the Kaiser's Germany while not only sanctioning, but also waging all-out war. The sanctions we have now are clearly insufficient, but they're stronger than the ones we had 3 years ago, which begs the question, why weren't we doing 10 years ago, 15 years ago, what we're doing today? Certainly after 2002, when we were aware of the Iranian nuclear program. The reason for that is that there have been advocates in the last 3 administrations of soft sanctions, of be nice to them and they'll be reasonable to us. And I don't know what our policy is now. I know that more sanctions are going to require methodology and technical work. We have to think of new ones. You have to get them applied. But we first face the policy issue. Do we want strong sanctions, or do we want pedal to the metal, absolute, everything we can do sanctions? I heard from Mr. Cohen talking about increasing sanctions. Gee, shouldn't we have them at pedal to the metal level now? And I wonder whether there is still support in the foreign policy agencies for being less than totally tough on Iran, or is it our policy to be absolute pedal to the metal, to sanction and pressure the Iranian government and economy in every way we possibly can as we develop new methodologies? Are we being softer than maximum in an effort to curry favor with Iran? Ambassador Sherman.
Congressman Sherman, we are absolutely pedal to the metal. Because it is a dual-track policy.
Thank you. I don't know whether Mr. Cohen has a response as well.
I just want to, if I may, sir, add one thing to that. We have to be pedal to the metal, but make sure that the pain is felt on Iran, first and foremost. And so we have to do it in a way that makes sure that as we work with our friends and allies around the world, they are not getting more pain than Iran is, and okay. I know you are working carefully with us to do so.
Let's see about pedal to the metal. Mr. Cohen, we've got the Bank Kulan of China, which has been sanctioned, but it doesn't do any business with the United States, so the sanction's meaningless. Its parent corporation is the China National Petroleum Corp, which does do business with the United States and has not been sanctioned. Are we, in effect, telling all of international business, you can do all the business you want with Iran, as Kulun Bank has. Just do it in a separate subsidiary, so your parent corporation can do business in America, and you'll have a separate subsidiary to do business with Iran. Are we going to sanction China National Petroleum Corp., or are we just going to say, you can do business with Iran, just set up a separate subsidiary?
Well, Congressman, the sanction against Bank of Kunlun has had real effect. As you know, Kunlun did not have any correspondent accounts with the United States, but it did have a number of correspondent accounts with other banks around the world.
Mr. Cohen, if I can reclaim my time. It's obvious that the sanctions would be much tougher and much more significant. You can say there was some slight effect on Bank of Kunlun. But why have we not sanctioned the China National Petroleum Corp., which would obviously have a much bigger impact than the little bit of impact that may or may not have occurred with regard to Kunlun?
The conduct at issue that led to the sanction of a Bank of Kunlun was transactions by a financial institution with designated Iranian banks. We applied sanctions to Bank of Kunlun, and then we went to every one of Kunlun's correspondents around the world. And
Mr. Cohen, you're not answering the question. Why haven't we sanctioned China National Petroleum Corp., the parent corporation?
Well, the technical answer, Congressman, is that the authority to sanction Bank of Kunlun is an authority to sanction a financial institution. That's the authority we have.
So are you going to be advocating in our next bill that we give you the any authority you might need? Is the administration in favor of giving you the tools to sanction the China National Petroleum Corp.?
I think the answer, Congressman, is what Ambassador Sherman said.
Let me sneak in one more question, I'll have you, and that is, why haven't we sanctioned all Iranian banks? You've done 23. Why haven't you done the rest?
We have sanctioned 28 Iranian financial institutions. We have sanctioned those institutions where we have evidence that they have either supported Iran's nuclear program or supported its international terrorist activity. Every single one of the banks for which we have evidence, we have applied.
Excuse me, all these banks are operating under the regulation and control of the Iranian government, which is a terrorist organization. You should sanction all the banks immediately. If you're going to have to wait for a smoking gun on every Iranian bank, all they have to do is create 3 or 4 more, and they can continue to do business. Every bank that responds, and if you're going to say you're pedal to the metal, you got to do all Iranian banks, not just say, well, they created a new one, and we don't have a smoking gun for that one yet. I believe my time has expired.
We go now to Mr. Smith of New Jersey.